Good morning. It's the morning break. I'm Rob Patz. It is Wednesday. Even though Miles Holiday says it is a easy job, my final day for the week here on the show. You can always tune in tomorrow. I do Thrive with the Jason. You can actually watch it on demand. That show just airs on our network. So you can watch that on the network or on demand actually tomorrow, and then throughout the weekend on Abundant TV. Hey, listen, I want to thank you so much for all you're doing. Abundant TV continues to grow, the fastest growing app-driven television network in the world. Of course, app-driven television is fairly new, so it may sound impressive, and it is, but it's not like, it's not like we won the Super Bowl or anything. But anyway, it is super exciting to be able to do this. Of course, if you're catching us on the app, you're watching us there, you already know. But if you're not on the app and you're seeing this on social media, hey, listen, you can download our app for Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV, or on your mobile device. My wife loves that. And in fact, she'll tell you that's how she checks up on me on a regular basis when we're here live on the air. And she may actually be watching right now. She's between court cases. So in case you didn't know, my wife's an attorney, so that's why she's between court cases. Just always want to clarify that so rumors don't start flying. Anyway, hey, listen, so much to talk about on today's edition. Plus, we got a special guest. Keely Burton's going to be with us. She's going to talk about surviving cancer and her story. It's going to be really interesting. And plus, we may talk about soccer, because that is one sport I cannot talk about without sounding completely stupid, because I know nothing, very little. But we'll probably do that. Hey, listen, I want to start off, though. Of course, the big story of the day we'll talk about in a second. But today is National Oatmeal Day. And the problem for me is I don't mind oatmeal. The problem is I have to put brown sugar on it. I have to hide it. I don't mind it. Like when I was little, I had a real hard time. I'm a texture person. And the texture of oatmeal just did not do it for me. I could not eat oatmeal. In fact, I actually didn't start eating oatmeal until I was in my 20s. Because just the texture, it was just, ugh, it was like, no, can't do this. Hey, I want to talk about our coffee. The great folks, 7 Weeks Coffee. 7weekscoffee.com. Use the promo code ATV10. My wife is super smart, and she always has been. And she bought, the first time we bought 7 Weeks Coffee, she bought the variety pack. It's 4 different kinds of coffee. You can go to their website and see it. She bought all the different blends for me. And for me, as a professional coffee drinker, someone who's done it for many years, more than I probably even want to admit, I loved and fell in love with their dark roast coffee. Now, if you've never had small roast coffee, and to really understand, small roast coffee means they are hand-picked beans, hand done in a small situation, and not a vat. I can't think of the word I was looking for. Anyway, and then they're packaged and sent to you. The coffee is incredible. And if you're a coffee snob like I am, you need to try 7 Weeks Coffee. Plus, they support great organizations, and we love them here at Abundant TV. And listen, if like you've never experienced their coffee, do the variety pack. It's 4 different packs. You will love it. I love it. I have a great time with it. But listen, so we talked about National Oatmeal Day, and we want to talk a little bit about Melissa. Melissa made landfall yesterday afternoon Eastern time in Jamaica, and the devastation has been unreal. If you've watched any of the stuff, my wife and I last night, we were watching windows being blown in, roofs being torn off, 240,000 people currently still without power as of about 2 hours ago. And the fear is that those numbers, because the grid and the way it is going to be overloaded. So they fear that it's going to be a lot more than that by the time this is all said and done. But the damage extent is incredible. The biggest thing that I was blown away with, and I know if you watched any of the videos yesterday or watched stuff that was shared, is the bridges and stuff like that, the infrastructure that they have. And they're saying it's weeks to months before you're going to see Jamaica back to normal, which is tough because a lot of people go for the holiday season coming up to Jamaica. I have friends that do it, and they do it every year. And an interesting thing, we'll talk a little bit more about how you can get involved coming up later in the show. But it once it left, and this is very interesting if you know anything about hurricanes. Once it left land, it made landfall in Jamaica. Once it then plowed through Jamaica, it hit the water again. And if you know anything, usually once a hurricane hits land, it slows way down. And it did. It slowed from a Cat 5 down to a Cat 3 as it exited Jamaica. Made landfall in Cuba early this morning, about 4:30 Eastern time. Still reports out about that is what is happening there. It was a Cat 3 on landfall. Now, the interesting thing for this is it is plowing. I mean, it's not just kind of meandering. It is on a straight line right now, headed toward the Bahamas. And we'll know more about that. It was interesting to see. And of course, you talk about Melissa and how this all, and people are like, well, kind of why didn't people get off the island? Because if you're like I am, you followed a lot of people online. This really just started just a few days ago. It was October 25th was really when it became a category 3 tropical storm. And that was when the warnings were started. So you're talking the 25th, makes landfall yesterday. So 3 days. If you don't have a lot of airports, you're not going to get everybody off. Thankfully, so far, from every news story I've seen, most of the people that were stranded are safe, and that's good news. And great things to say about, and I want to say this about the people that run the resorts. I mean, hands down, these people took charge, did everything they needed to do, and made sure everyone was safe. And so the cleanup, the aftermath, of course, is the big thing. And a lot of questions you get asked, and we got asked actually because we posted a lot about it yesterday on social media, was about it hitting the United States. And as of right now, that is not likely. Now they have storm warnings up, by the way, for parts of the East Coast. And the funniest thing is actually I was supposed to be gone right now. Today after actually this afternoon we were leaving. Something came up, so our trip to Charleston got put off, and so I'd have been down there for some very wet weather. They're going to have rain. They're going to have those things, but look for that to not be anywhere near hurricane levels as it hits the East Coast. Though there's a couple of models that show the weather bending back towards the upper part of the eastern United States, though that is only one model. And anyway, we'll talk with my final word. We're going to talk a little bit about how you can get involved and be a part of this. Again, we want to thank the great folks at 7 Weeks Coffee. That's 7weekscoffee.com. Use the promo code ATV10. When we come back from the break, Keely Burton's going to be with us. We're going to talk about her book, Life, and as a cancer survivor, all after this.
Behind every precious life, there was a choice. Behind every family moment, behind every special memory, there was a choice. A life of joy, a life that is beautifully and wonderfully made. At 7 Weeks Coffee, we are funding the pro-life movement, one cup at a time. Will you let your coffee serve a greater purpose?
Thanks to the great folks at 7 Weeks Coffee. That's 7weekscoffee.com. Use the promo code ATV10 when you order. and we appreciate them so very much being a part of what we're doing with Abundant TV. Excited about today's guest. We connected through social media, and welcome to the show, Keely Burton. Keely, nice to meet you. We met a little earlier before the show, technically, but it is nice to have you on the morning break. And I want to talk a little bit. Of course, we're going to talk about your book and talk about that. But I want people to get to know Keely first. So tell everybody a little bit about you.
So again, my name is Keely Burton. I'm a breast cancer survivor. I was diagnosed in 2023. I have a wonderful husband, Steve, a teenage daughter, Emma, who loves soccer just as much as I do. And I also work for the state of Illinois. I've been with the state for the past 17 years.
So before we get into the story, how long did you play? When did you start? Because this is always an interesting thing, because for those of us that play sports, there is like a moment where you remember starting to really play sports. When did you really start to play soccer competitively?
Well, I mean, I was introduced to soccer when I was like 3. I mean, it's fun then, whatever. But I was probably in middle school and I started playing competitively, and then played in high school and was blessed enough to receive a full ride soccer scholarship for college. It's always been a passion of mine. I actually still play to this day. So
you were telling me that ahead of time, and I was like, I if you asked me to play football at my age, I'd be like, no, I'm not doing it. But soccer a little different, in that way. It's and I always love, because I know a little bit about soccer, but they always say, well, it's not a contact sport. Well, every time I watch soccer, it looks like a contact sport to me.
It is. And I honestly play it a little bit differently today than how I used to, because I keep telling myself I got to get up and go to work the next morning. So it's more, a great time to socialize and, hang out with the soccer community here in Springfield, Illinois. And so.
And it's a great workout.
Yes.
So you're keeping your body active, and that's something that I think we as people that are aging, I don't like to say I'm getting older. I just like to say we're aging, is that it's important to keep your body and especially for people. And my doctor told me this, for people like us who played sports for a long time. I started in kindergarten playing pee-wee football, and played all the way up through high school. And he goes, it's really important, because your body has had a lot of wear and tear, for you to keep it flexible as you get older. Which I was like, hey man, I don't like that. That's not nice. Don't be telling me that. And so it's important. But I do want to get into the book. It's called Clinging to Hope When Life Gets Dark, and walk everybody through this journey that you went through. Because I think that the one line when I was looking over your stuff, and I said, and you said something that really is true, and I have in our family we have cancer survivors, is the words that no one wants to hear, and that's, it's cancer. So tell everybody a little bit about your journey, and I'm going to get out of the way and let you talk.
Okay, I'll try to do a condensed version. I know we don't have a lot of time here, but there's just been so many miracles that God has performed since my diagnosis in 2023. I just feel like the world needs to hear that he still performs miracles even today. I was diagnosed in 2023. It was a couple weeks after I turned 40. But it's amazing how this all started, and it all started back on March 4th, 2023. I was laying in bed in a hotel room, my daughter's soccer tournament in Memphis, Tennessee. And prior to this, I had never, ever done monthly breast checks. I was like, it's not in my family. I'm never going to do it. But I was just laying in bed, and the strongest prompting, and I know for a fact it was from the Holy Spirit. It was the strongest prompting. It was like, it just went like across the ticker of my mind, check your breast. And before I could my hands just started on the right. And then as soon as they hit the left, I felt the lump. It was right there. And I knew, without even having any testing or whatever, just because of what I had just experienced, I knew that it wasn't a cyst, that it was breast cancer. So I ended up having a mastectomy, went through 5 months of chemo, lost my hair. It's just now starting to come back pretty thick. Um, but just throughout the past several years, I mean, he God shrunk my tumor from 2 centimeters to 1.5 on a PET scan to final pathology 1.2 centimeters. When I asked my oncologist, have you ever seen this before? He said, no, not without, radiation or chemotherapy. They had actually offered to start chemotherapy before my surgery. And I was like, no, I want to do it after. And I can't imagine like that miracle, I think, would have been downplayed had I done chemo before, because I'm like, oh, chemo shrunk it,
Right.
and it was only by the power of God that he shrunk it, has brought me to where I am today. My life is completely different. Like in my book, I talk about what my life was like before cancer and how it is now. Like before cancer, if you've ever seen the movie Groundhog Day, I know I was really, really little when that movie first came out, but the guy goes to work, the alarm clock goes off the same time every morning. He goes to work, he lays his, eats dinner, goes to bed. And that's how my life was like. There's nothing wrong with routine, but I didn't feel like I had a purpose. I felt like I was just existing. And so fast forward to my life now after cancer, it's like I am so full of joy. Every day is a gift. I wake up every morning before I even set foot out of my bed. I thank God for the heartbeat in my chest, the breath in my lungs, and I am actually, for the first time, living. And it's just, I am so thankful to be alive and so thankful for what God has done in my life. And I never thought I'd be an author. Someone asked me, hey, Keely, your online Facebook group, Keely's breast cancer journey, it's like, that's been your online journal. Have you ever thought about putting that into print? And I was like, no. But then I felt God leading me to continue to share my story. And so those journal entries are the basis for this book. And then other content has been added as well, like, go in more depth about the chemo process and stuff like that. But I just think it's going to be a tool to help other people, because 1 in 8 women will be diagnosed with breast cancer in their lifetime. That's a startling statistic to me. And I saw a statistic recently that 85% of people diagnosed don't have a family history. That's me. That's a startling statistic.
So a couple of questions I have for you. First, and of course, I'm sure you're very pro getting examined, like, but especially now. But for you, after the chemo and all of those things, it's something that I always find kind of interesting because everybody has a different story. Did you change like your habits, like eating habits? Did you change anything post chemo and post surgery?
I am more, I guess, I thought I was healthy before. But it's just another example. Cancer doesn't discriminate. It can happen to anybody. I am more conscious, not all the time, but more so than before, of what I put in my body. I mean, there's some things I'm not going to give up. Like I have 1 Pepsi a day. Like I'm not a coffee drinker, but I'm going to drink my Pepsi. But
Does it have to be Pepsi or can it be Coke?
No, it's Pepsi. Coke, I can't. Okay. I can't even.
Okay, it's just wanted to because you mentioned Pepsi, and I was like, well, she directly mentioned Pepsi, so I got to ask because there are people like that.
One of the things, like for lunch nowadays, most days I'll do like an organic banana smoothie with Greek yogurt and stuff like that. It tastes so good. I'm so glad I found it. But I do like my fast food, I'm not going to lie, but I'm trying to do less of that and eat more fresh, salads and stuff like that.
Now, the other question I have, and because there, I'm sure, are some cancer survivors. Have you had problems? And this is a question with your energy levels, and what have you done to help your energy? Because you play soccer, you do all this stuff, and going through chemo and all that stuff really it racks your body. What have you done to help regenerate and get your energy back?
Well, and again, another miracle was that chemo, especially I had 16 rounds and the first 4 were the Red Devil. And if you just Google Red Devil, you'll see the horror stories. But God's hand he was just protecting me the entire time. Like the side effects, I was a little bit tired, but I would have chemo on Thursday and then show up at Soccer World, which is where we play indoor soccer, on Friday and Saturday and have the energy to go out there and play soccer. And I remember so many people were like, Keely, what are you doing out here? You just had chemo. Like, I just saw pictures of you in the chemo chair. What are you doing out here? And I'm like, I feel great. Like, I'm going to play. I'm a little bit tired, but like, I'm going to pad my chemo port so it doesn't get hit with the ball or whatever.
Oh, I hadn't thought of that. Yeah, especially playing soccer.
Yeah. So, I mean, I wouldn't play a lot of defense. I would turn my body and stuff, because if that got hit with the ball, that would probably not be a good thing.
Oh no.
But yeah, I was out there playing soccer. And so, I mean, the worst side effect for me was just, a little bit of fatigue. Nothing where I felt like I needed to lay in bed and sleep. I worked the entire time throughout my treatments. But my body's rebounded, I think, great. And yeah, it's just a blessing. It's a blessing.
So and there may be somebody that's watching that's going through their cancer journey right now that is behind where you are. Give them a couple of pieces of advice, because now you're on the other side. Like you said, you feel great. You're on the other side of this. Your hair is growing back, which is great, and all those good things. But let's say there is someone that is right now in the midst of struggling with this and maybe getting ready to start the process, or has just found out. Give them some words of advice and maybe a couple of things that you did. I mean, besides, and of course, as us being a Christian show, of course, there was prayer involved and all those things that, you had, I'm sure, people praying for you, but some practical, and not saying that, I got to be careful here. So I don't want to hate email. Prayer is definitely practical, but I'm saying some things that we can do day to day for your process.
So for me, I had to slow down. I'm a planner. I like to plan out. I'm type A, but after my cancer diagnosis, I needed to take one day at a time. Sometimes it was 1 hour, 1 minute at a time, constantly praying to God, asking him for the strength for the next appointment, not knowing what was coming up next or my next scan, just the unknown. And a great support system is very much needed. Your family. I had so many prayer warriors praying for me. I mean, and I could feel it. The power of prayer, it is real. I could feel it. So for anybody out there who might have just, received this news, I just heard a friend of mine yesterday whose coworker was diagnosed. I just ask you to call upon the name of Jesus. He will meet you right where you are. He met me. I talk about it in my book, how after I received that official diagnosis, I hit my knees in my bedroom and I cried out. I've never cried out like this before, but wherever you are, he will meet you right where you are. You don't have to have things together. He's going to meet you.
That's so true. Hey, now this group you talked about, and we didn't talk about this ahead of time, so I'm in the dark on this one, but the group that you have you said on Facebook, right?
Yes, it's still active. Honestly, I mean, I'm not out of the dark yet. I do have to take a pill until January 2031 because my, cancer was grade 3 of 3 and some other things about it that it's highly likely that it could come back if I didn't do chemo, if I didn't, take this medicine. But this group on Facebook is called Keely's Breast Cancer Journey. And the funny thing about this is that, when I first got diagnosed, I was just expecting to share like with some family, some close friends. My husband ran into one of our friends at an airport and was like, this lady was like, have you ever thought about creating a group for Keely so that you can share with everybody and it's, out there and people can join and they might be encouraged as well. And he was like, no, I never thought about that. So my husband started Keely's Breast Cancer Journey And it just ballooned up into something, not just sharing updates, but it became like a online journal for me. And
people can
it's
join?
still very active. And so
Yeah.
it's a private group, but if you search for it, you can ask to join, and I'll definitely approve. It's just under 500 people in there.
That's awesome. That is so cool. Hey, the name of the book is Clinging to Hope When Life Gets Dark. Keely, it has been awesome having you here on the morning break. Go grab her book. And man, we appreciate you. Thanks, Keely, for being with us.
Thank you so much.
Social media today is noisy, divided, and too often hostile to Christian values, a place where truth is twisted and faith is often silenced. What if there was a place for believers where you could share your story, grow in your faith, and be encouraged every day? Introducing Acts Social, the #1 Christ-centered social platform built to unite Christians worldwide in truth, hope, and love. Share your faith openly. Discover powerful, uplifting content. Join prayer groups. Encourage others. Find news and events from a biblical worldview all in one place. And do it all free from big tech censorship, invasive tracking, and endless ads. Because the body of Christ was never meant to be scattered. It was meant to be together, every day, everywhere. ActsSocial.com, the fastest growing platform for Christ-centered connection. Join us and be part of something eternal.
Thanks to great folks at Acts Social. Social media can sometimes be a completely stressful place to be. And the great folks at Acts Social, it's like going to a place that it's like meeting up with friends, and a lot of them who believe and think the same way you do. It is a great location to go to. In fact, we believe in it so much that my wife and I sat down and became corporate sponsors along with Chick-fil-A and Hobby Lobby. Abundant TV is one of the sponsors for Acts Social. And when you go there and you want to be a part of the group, you can say for a referral, you can either say my name, Rob Patz, and then go and follow me online, or Abundant TV. Either one works, and we appreciate it. It's free. It's a great place to hang out with people who think and believe just like you do. Acts Social, that's ACTS social.com. And man, we love it over there. In fact, we're very proud. We have one of the fastest growing groups on there. It's called the Abundant Group. You can find us there. And listen, I want to close out because I know of today's show, but I really, people will say, hey, listen, how can I get involved with helping people after Hurricane Melissa? One of the best ways, and this was sent to me by the great folks at Samaritan's Purse. Samaritan's Purse is going to be involved and be there on the ground very soon. They couldn't, because of everything happening, give an exact time, but they're there. It is one of those groups that we all trust. Plus, I want to tell you, if you have a church or organization that is going to do stuff to help with Hurricane Melissa and relief, not only for Jamaica, but now they're saying the Bahamas and maybe even Bermuda. If you have a church that is actively doing something, send us a note through the app or find me on social media and tell me about it, because we would like to get involved, help you find ways to be proactive, be the hands and feet of Jesus during a time like this for the folks, especially in Jamaica, as they were hit completely hard. I mean, Cat 5 rolling across a country, not just as it made landfall. It is crazy to think about. Remember, it's a National Oatmeal Day. I was thinking during the break, I think I'm going to get a cookie and celebrate National Oatmeal Day with a cookie today. Thanks to Keely Burton for being with us on today's edition. Check out her book. Grab that, because inspiring story, and just so cool to see God working in that situation. Hey, boys and girls, we'll see you again Monday. Got a great show. It'll be Mondays with Molly. We're going to do that coming up. You have a great rest of your week. And ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, this has been The Morning Break.